closed captioning of Fishing Saskatchewan has been provided by Great Western Brewing Company. Please enjoy responsibly.
Lemon flame, yellow and red, green frog, holy mackerel. What do these things have in common? Keep watching as we take you behind the scenes at the Thompson Pallister Bait Company's manufacturing facility in Lacombe, Alberta, on this episode of Fishing Saskatchewan.
You're watching Fishing Saskatchewan, brought to you in part by The Fishing Hole, North Sask Farm Equipment, and Alumacraft.
Look inside any fisherman's tackle box and you're guaranteed to find a Len Thompson spoon. With his roots in Saskatchewan, Len Thompson would change how people fish. Over 86 years later, his legacy continues. After returning from World War I, Len went home to Saskatchewan. With his love for fishing and the outdoors, he began his ambitious journey of creating a lure that would trigger more strikes. A decade later, in 1929, he started the company that would turn Len Thompson into a household name. He believed the action of the lure could trigger an attack from the fish. Known for carrying a hammer in his tackle box, Len was constantly adjusting the shape of his spoons until he found that magic combination of speed and motion. Ironically, color had nothing to do with it.
That's exactly what Len Thompson was looking for, and that's what I remember from my youth of fishing with him. He would, if there wasn't any fishing going on, he'd be playing with the shape. He'd whack the thing. If he didn't have his hammer with him, he'd whack it with a rock and drag it through the water and see if he could get a fish to eat it. When you're in a boat someday, take one of ours and take somebody else's and put it on the other side going exactly the same speed and watch the action.
Things went very well in Abernethy. The company outgrew its facility there in the 50s and decided to move manufacturing to Lacombe, Alberta, where they now produce over 850,000 spoons every year.
It's a really special thing to get involved with something that's already so well done. We're selling a really great thing. We're selling good days on the water. We're selling an experience. We're not just selling a product, so it's kind of neat that way. It's a fun industry to be part of.
Cecil Grandpa was here all the time when we were growing up, and even when we were here working in the summer and whatnot. He was the fixer, the shop fixer, and he would tinker with things, and he had his workbench, and he had the ability to make everybody happy and smile, and he'd joke around with the staff.
He could fix anything. He loved fixing things. He had infinite patience for repairing things, and he pretty much refined all the manufacturing processes around here.
After 86 years, the production process remains virtually the same. The first step is to punch each spoon from a roll of solid brass. Approximately 1,000 spoons are punched every hour, and each roll of brass can produce as many as 5,000 spoons. Len Thompson's name is punched into the back of every spoon at the very first step. The spoons then go through 3 polishing stages. This removes all of the rough edges from the punching process. And ensures a clean, smooth surface to apply the paint. After the spoons have been polished, they head to the paint booth. Each lure is given a base coat and then one of the Len Thompson patterns is airbrushed on each individual spoon by hand. All the paints used are water-based and environmentally friendly. At any time in the process, if an employee feels the lure doesn't meet the company's standards, it's removed from the production line.
You wouldn't be stupid enough to risk it all on a losing hand. So why risk it all out on the water? Don't gamble with your life and the law. Keep the beer on the pier.
You just dropped that dimple right back there and boom.
It's small though. It might be a little pike. I think it is.
Little
Nope,
trout.
That's a tiny trout hitting that big bait. It's almost as big as it. So that's a good sign though, that they're getting active. Yeah.
Almost looks like a little brook trout,
Yep.
other than the fact that it doesn't have the squared off tail.
See you, buddy. Cool. And I just dropped this down in there, this new dimpled series Len Thompson.
Everything that we can source in Canada, we do. But certainly to say that we're a purely North American or purely Canadian-made product, that's definitely something that we enjoy saying and need to say, because we still feel that as long as we can remain competitive from a price point at the retail level, the consumer will reward us with that fact. But right now, we've got a great experienced staff. We do things efficiently. We've got great equipment to make sure that we do things efficiently. And we avoid the expense of reworks and errors and things like that. So we can be competitive just by being a smoothly run business.
After painting, the trays are loaded onto rolling racks, which are then placed into an industrial-sized oven. The paint is baked onto the lure to give it a long-lasting, durable gloss finish. When the lures have cooled, split rings and eagle claw hooks are manually attached to produce the completed spoon. Each Len Thompson spoon is individually packaged, using a heat seal tray that adheres the card to the plastic blister. These premium quality handcrafted lures are designed to last.
A lot of people are surprised that the process is so hands-on. Everything's hand-assembled, everything's airbrush painted by hand, and even the process of polishing and punching the lures is all done by touch. It passes through somebody's hands an average of 26 to 28 times. And it basically just really speaks to our quality. If we notice something is not right with the lure, we pull it from the line and we strip the color and we start again.
Grandpa would walk a very long way to catch a fish, and he didn't, he was pretty quiet when he did it. He was pretty pensive when he was fishing. My dad was a good fisherman. He could put a lure on the bottom, and he knew how to catch fish for sure. Len had a cottage at Sandy Beach on Katepwa Lake. That's where they were tested. It was 10 miles from his farm. Whistle on down to Katepwa and cast offshore, and he always carried a ball peen hammer and a file with him, and he was forever fiddling with the things and improving them, getting the right shape. 20 years ago, if you had a magazine, you would never put a spoon on if you were fishing for walleye, because nobody ever talked about it. They would literally write, "You can't catch a walleye on a spoon." Not true.
And look what's coming out of its mouth. The guy with the 5 of diamonds tattooed on his leg. There you go. There you go.
I think one of the things that we really committed to over the last year is staying Canadian made. That's super important to us. So I think from a future standpoint, we're trying to expand into some of the places that were not so well known, so kind of out east in Canada, and then hopefully eventually expand to some of the States as well. A lot of people in those areas who've come out to Western Canada have fished with Len Thompson, and they've kind of fallen in love with it. So they'll be our biggest brand ambassadors kind of moving forward. That's one of the reasons that we're really trying to use social media to connect with people so that we can have other people tell our story. You can find us on Twitter at FishLen Thompson. You can find us on Instagram at FishLen Thompson, and you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Len Thompson Fishing.
I had my 40-year go at it, so now it's Brad and Jessica's turn. It's a wonderful business, it really is. You guys are in the tackle business. You know how people just have a smile on their face when they're fishing, even on a bad day, and you're hanging around good folks most of the time, and it's a business. You have to consider that part of it as well. But we've got plenty of experience on the business side of things, and it's just it's a wonderful thing to keep it going.
You know, I never met Len Thompson. He passed away before I was born, but my dad and I actually did a trip to Saskatchewan, and it was a very powerful experience. You know, we went. It means a lot to people in that area what he did, and that kind of transfers to you, and you're just kind of proud to have been part of his legacy because he set something up that was pretty awesome.
We certainly have a plan, and that plan is continued growth. I mean, we have a great product. We have a great infrastructure. We have a great staff. We have a great thing here. So it's just a real big part of what we're doing is trying to expand on that notion. Europe has a great pike and trout fishery that our product would be absolutely perfect for.
We'll be making yellow and red for quite a while, I think.
Thanks for watching Fishing Saskatchewan. Until next time, we'll see you on the water. Fishing Saskatchewan has been brought to you by The Fishing Hole, North Sask Farm Equipment, and Alumacraft.